Thanks very much, everyone. Thank you for coming here. Yeah, come a bit closer if you like. I won't bite. Thanks, everyone. Welcome and thank you to everyone for attending and being part of an important occasion to help us celebrate. I'm proud to say the Stronach family business has achieved 100 years since it was founded in 1923 by my grandfather, William Stronach. For a century now, our company has been a trusted name in the construction and property industry, and we've completed countless projects, both large and small. After a bit of research, was that too loud, everyone? Or no? After a bit of research, I note that we are in the esteemed company of Qantas, Warner Brothers, Disney, Birdseye, and particularly Vegemite, who also turned 100 this year. And I've learned tonight that Saddington's is 102 years old, and Bill's here, which is great. And the Bradstreet Group, I think a bit more than that, Boy and James are here as well, which is fantastic. I've known them for a long time, so I'm really pleased that everyone's been able to come here tonight. It's wonderful. A couple of other things. The construction of the Sydney Harbour Bridge started in 1923, and the same year, and the Hollywood sign was erected in 1923, which I only found out the other day. So, yeah, I just wanted to do a little bit of digging and research to find these things, and I found it quite interesting. But my grandfather, William, was born on the 9th of December, 1895, in Helensburgh on the south coast of New South Wales. He left school at the age of 14 and gained an apprenticeship with a local builder there. He then arrived in Newcastle in May 1913 and was employed by a local builder. I just can't remember the name, it was probably in something, but not many people here would probably remember that. Bill might. Sorry, mate. And anyway, during his apprenticeship, he worked 48 hours a week and attended Tech College at night from 7 p.m. till 9 p.m, 3 nights a week. He started on a wage of 35 shillings and had to pay his own Tech College fees out of that. Now 35 shillings, I think I recall, was probably $3.50. Wasn't it, when it converted from into decimal currency? So anyway, it's all relative, it doesn't matter, because it's a long time ago. But at the age of 21, he was a foreman on the building of the first wheat silos at McIntyre's flour mill in Hamilton. It's probably the ones near the railway line there that you might have noticed. It's probably still there. But he started contracting under the name of W. Stronach Proprietary Limited in 1923 and built several houses, and in 1928 he tendered for and was awarded the contract by Newcastle Council to build the Civic Theatre and the 14 shops for the princely sum of £78,000. I know, it's amazing. I'm not sure, but I'd say at a guess, if you had to build that Civic Theatre now, you'd be lucky to find the tradesmen for a start. And if you could, my guess is it has to be 50 million or more, because I know that back in the 90s, Bill probably attended on it too, but we priced the renovations to the Civic, which included air conditioning, new seats, back of stage, and that was 12 million. And we came second, we didn't get it unfortunately. I'd love to have got it just for old time's sake, but we missed it with second out of about 6. But anyway, it's very, when you look back at these things, it's quite interesting. And the Civic Theatre was opened on the 12th of December 1929. I've actually got a copy of the original program on the opening night, which is here. And in it, my grandfather William wrote just a piece in it called Inspiration, and it said, to the patrons of the Civic Theatre, and he said that the Civic Theatre stands as a mighty evident edifice devoted to the screen and its companion arts, fills me with pride as its builder. Make sure I don't miss a page here. That you perhaps have seen this great structure rise. Now for the first time you can know its glories. The edifice can be best described as a tribute to the civic authorities of Newcastle. His conception of service to you has laid the foundation, and his guidance and cooperation have brought the Civic Theatre to fulfilment. I know you'll join me in this expression of appreciation to the Alderman of the City Council for making possible the ultimate in theatre construction, Stronach builder. I thought that was great to find these things. And I think there's a plaque up on the Civic Theatre on the next floor up that has that on it, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, in those days, every day he wore a suit and tie, sometimes even on weekends. So he'd come out to the lake house out at Coal Point, he'd have his jacket on and very formal. And these days everyone's in board shorts, no shoes and t-shirts. That's me. But things in those days were very different. They were all very formal. In the years to follow, he built many of the theatres in Newcastle, including the Strand, the Royal, the Centenary, the Savoy at New Lambton, and the Savoy at Stockton. Interesting that we continued this pattern, and we built the Charlestown and the Maple cinemas in later times. The second generation was my father Bruce and my uncle Spencer, who ran the business for many years until their retirement over 30 years ago now. They were both great mentors for me and guided me in my early years. Spencer did most of the estimating and Dad looked after the projects. And Spencer taught me estimating too, and I just on the Bill Roads before, I used to ring him pretty much every day about pricing. Mines did all of our work, and it was just great. And we talked about, in those days, you didn't have to worry about a contract. You just ring out and say to Bill, you got the job. It'll say, well, I know what day will start, next day, whatever, and you don't have to worry about a contract, you just do the job. It's a little bit different these days. As Tony would know. As Tony's shaking his head on it, it's just a bit different, isn't it, Tony? Yeah, not the same. More fun in those days. A lot of fun. So, yes, our construction team, I believe, at that time was considered one of the best in the region. And Graham Sears is here, my friend that's in the front here. Graham was with us for quite a long time, and he's retired now, isn't he, Graham? He was fantastic, and I really appreciate him being here tonight as well. But a little bit about me, and then I'm not going to hear that, but after completing my HSC at Tech High, I started working as an apprentice carpenter whilst attending Newcastle Tech College doing the building certificate 3 nights a week. I was keen to learn the trade, which I felt was very important to gain a grassroots understanding of the building process. It was a lot of fun working on the building sites in those days, and I recall some of the old carpenters just try and trickle the apprentices. They'd say, listen son, can you go down to see the foreman and ask him for a left-handed screwdriver or attend a grinding wheel sparks? So off they go every time. All the young kids are going. We had a lot of fun, a lot of joking around. But a few years later, actually after probably about 23 or 24 or something, but I used to love riding motorbikes in the bush, and I fell and broke my leg. So I was at the doctor's the next day, got cast on, and I was sitting at home, and one day at home I said to the dad, I can't stand this, I've got to go back to work. So can I come to the office for a while and learn a bit of estimating and other things? So I didn't go back. I just really enjoyed it and stayed there for the whole time. But, and learned project management, which I really enjoyed doing. And I actually worked on the Newcastle police station up here. First stage was to dig the big hole in the ground, and the second stage was to do the building. And that was great, I actually loved that. That was back in 1980 we finished that job. We actually sat there on top of the scaffold and I was watching this building being built. I think concrete construction's built at the time. It was really good to watch this being built. You can see being a government building, as you can see here, it's as solid as a rock. It's not going anywhere. Earthquake didn't even do anything. There's no cracks. It's terrific. So then we ended up buying it, but where did I get to? Oh yeah, around 30 years ago, the Stronach business ventured into development, as well as continuing with construction, where we build our own projects, taking it from site acquisition, approvals, design through to construction, working with many architects, engineers and other consultants to bring together the finished product. It's actually changed a lot, but that always gave me great satisfaction to produce some great projects from nothing other than a vacant site, and see the completed project that people can work or live in, and to see them become part of Newcastle's built environment. I've always had an interest in urban renewal, which involves taking a brownfield site, which is just an old site in the city, underutilised and turn into something new. But over the years, we faced many challenges, including economic downturns, earthquakes, floods, and the global pandemic. However, through hard work, dedication, and a commitment to excellence, we've always emerged stronger and more resilient. And today, as we celebrate our centenary, we're proud to say that the company has become a true leader in the property industry. We've built some of Newcastle's and the Hunter's most iconic structures, some of which I'll talk about today. A few examples, on the wall over there, as you came in on the right, are some of the examples, but one was Athcourt Flats. I wasn't around, but grandfather built in the 30s. We put the tower and the transepts on the cathedral in 1979, because it didn't have any before that. That was a really interesting project. Many university buildings, Lambton swimming pools, the boardwalk, to name a few. But about 15 years ago, we ceased building or direct construction and focus on development, outsourcing all building works to contractors for projects including Lee Wharf, area of the Surf House, Watt Street Commercial, which is this one, Arena Apartments next door, and the Herald Apartments. But I've got to say, I see Brian stand there, but the Tower Lodge at Pecolbin was one project that I really loved. And it was our introduction to the wine and hospitality business. And I think you said something about being a proud old builder, and now you're a poor old winemaker. That was fun. And gee, we had a good time. And oh, man, heavens, it was amazing. But anyway, that was fun. And we're in partnership with a number of great people, including Len Evans and Brian McGuigan, and Mick Stein was in there as well. And to name a few, there were a dozen, I think, Brian. It was a lot of fun. We built a winery in a small luxury hotel on Broke Road, and we're involved in both businesses for a number of years. Surf House was another project that I'm very proud of too. I felt the building has added another dimension to the hospitality offerings in Newcastle. The building we're standing in now was part of the Royal Hospital site, Royal Newcastle Hospital site. At the time we purchased it, was the base for Hunter Medical Research. We saw the potential to totally repurpose the building. Greg was the architect, Greg Crane, which is here. And there's now a 7,500 square metre A-grade office building, which is home to the following well-known grade companies: Moraine Agnew, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Maxim, ERM, Australian Business Lawyers, New South Wales Health Pathology, Uniting, Guild Insurance, Meridian Lawyers, and our cafe on Watt Grounds here, which serves the building and surrounds. The recently completed conversion of the lecture theatre just here has taken an unused part of the building, and it's now over about 1,000 square metres of over 3 levels of modern office space. And please feel free to take a look through tonight, because it's something different. It's really nice. The adjacent beachside site over here too was vacant, and we actually bought the site from Murdoch. They did half the project, and then we developed 230 apartments on that site, plus William Camp, Brett Bundy and myself did the project, and outstanding building. And almost every apartment had ocean views, which is just pretty hard to get. It's probably the last development site on this coast, on the Newcastle coast. And it was called Arena Apartments, and anyone that bought there have done well, because they've got a hell of a lot of value. I now look forward to starting construction and delivery on our latest project, Sovereign Park and the NBN television side of Cooks Hill. I've got to say, I've never been bothered when people use the word controversial to describe some of our projects or my role in them, but I don't think that's accurate. I think people don't like change. So a lot of things are called controversial simply because they involve change. At the end of the day, I think the test is, has it been good for the community? Would you now call Surf House, the Boardwalk, or Lee Wharf controversial? Probably not, because people vote with their feet. And I still feel King Edward Park Bowling Club would have been a fantastic facility for the community to enjoy. And unfortunately, it still sits there vacant, which I think is absolutely a shame. It's also always been interesting to see the advances in technology over the years, the past 50 years that I've been in the business. When I started in the office, we used a revolutionary piece of equipment called an electronic calculator. which with infrared numbers is huge. That took a while to warm up. You don't remember those days, yeah, I know. All they can do is add, subtract, multiply and divide. Nothing else. And anyway, it was as big as a briefcase and slow. And of course, after that, the first computer had a capacity of 6 megabytes. I don't know what they are now, but a lot more than that. And that was huge. It sat about that high in a big box. And we thought with the bee's knees, we had this beautiful modern equipment, it was fantastic. Used to do payroll and not much else, creditors, debtors. Anyway, the job files were in manila folders, and not massive files like they have been, and now they're all electronic anyway. We used two-way radios in the utes for communication, and that was great because before that you couldn't communicate at all. And very exciting times when the in-car fixed mobile phones were invented. That was great. And then all of a sudden you had the brick-sized mobiles, the great big ones that used to carry around. And then of course the other ones that now we have to put in the pocket. But then here we are today with the modern computer software technology, and I've got to say, I find that a challenge. I'm getting a bit old for it all, lucky all the smart people can do all that.
Kate.
Kate, yeah. Kate, Lachlan, Mark, Richard, everyone else in this room except me, probably. Anyway, to instigate a new project, this is another thing I think about. Now, to instigate a new project in my early days, we'd buy some land, we'd engage an architect, an engineer, and a surveyor, prepare a DA and go to council. It's pretty simple. These days we need those 3 disciplines, plus another dozen or so consultants, and a lot more cost and time, and a great longer process. I don't know whether we've actually advanced or shortened the process at all, I'm sure we haven't, but that's just the way it is, there's more layers. But it normally takes us, this is what I've worked out, it normally takes as much time from the date of finding a site, or finding any opportunity, to start the construction as it does to build the building. So you put all that money out to buy the site, take it 18 months, 2 years or more, and then another 18 months or so to build the thing. So the costs, they add up that way. But anyway, for a business to be able to endure over multiple generations, it requires a great team of people, dedication, and have a strong network of business partners, professional consultants, advisors and public authorities. Everyone here tonight has an important connection to the Stronach business, which I really appreciate. I do, and sincerely do. And I'd also like to thank my wife Mary for her support over the last 45 years. Mary's been there for all of the challenging and all the good times, which I really appreciate. She's had involvement in some of our projects, applying her creative flair to the look and feel by putting together selections and finishes. And thank you for putting up with the early starts and the late finishes, and particularly when we're in the process of raising our family of 3 children, Emma, Cassie and Lachlan. 2 of them are here tonight. I'd also like to acknowledge my great development team, including Richard Anderson, who's been with me for 15 years, Kate Harvey for 21 years, Mike Purdy for 5 years, and Lachlan Stronach's been here for the last 2 years. They all play a very important role in their respective areas to manage each of our projects and property interests to assure the ongoing success of the business. I sincerely appreciate the work they do. They're also a great pleasure to work with every day. I'd also like to acknowledge the support that their partners give them as well, because without that, you can't spend the time and things. It's just not, I think it goes for everyone here in the room that's in business or otherwise. Anyway, so that's probably enough. On this historic day, let's raise a toast to our company, to our legacy and the bright future that lies ahead. And thank you all so much for joining to celebrate 100 years of business in Newcastle. Thank you.